we run a little program here at Meya called Competing Conversations. And today I'm looking at a head-to-head battle between your application and Headspace. Now, I'm sure you already know this, but Headspace is currently using a conversational product called Ada to power their support bot. And Calm, you're currently not adopting any of this technology. In saying that, I want to go pretty deep on what Headspace is doing with their conversational bot and seeing if there's opportunity for not only your team to match their existing experience, but actually to exceed it and go above and beyond what they're currently achieving. So what I'm actually going to do very quickly is jump into their bot. It's under the support tab. And then I'm going to open up their little widget. Now you can see as soon as I hit on their chat button, a conversation starts. They have a bot, it's called Frankie, it's their friendly bot assistant, and they have two modes of communication, one via buttons and the second via natural language. Now this is great for a lot of use cases, but I would say the biggest reason that you would probably find a limitation with this experience is that it is only really focusing on a very structured set of questions and a structured set of responses based on a very linear conversational tree. Now, when we start thinking about, the next wave of conversational AI and what the evolution looks like, we start thinking about how can you actually make this experience more personalized, and again, how can Calm play a larger role in this experience above and beyond what Headspace is doing. So I'm actually going to just touch on a couple of quick pieces that I think the Headspace team can improve on. So the first thing that I notice is that they're currently using a web view inside of their native mobile app, which in a lot of cases is fine, but it becomes a limiting factor when you start looking at personalization. So when you're passing over that user information, whether it's their name, their subscription, their account information into a web view, it becomes a little bit complicated, it's a bit advanced, and you run the risk of losing a lot of that context when you're implementing a web view. So for that reason, we do recommend going native, and we also recommend that you start thinking about how you can use that user information in a meaningful way inside of your conversational experience. The second one there is it's not connected to a user account. So the purchaser subscription flow that I was testing out in my Headspace app, it took me actually to a different website. Now, again, this is all outside of the scope of the application, which is just adding friction to the process. You would typically want to start thinking about how can I make a user with whatever intent they have achieve the result all within that same window. And so, for example, when purchasing a subscription, I should give the user some options of those subscriptions that we have on offer, and then I should allow the user to select it directly in this window and then complete their purchase without ever leaving this experience, which again is just going to add one less layer of complexity for the user and give them that really real-time helpful hand service when actually trying to achieve their goals. The third point I'm mentioning here is only support. So by that, I mean that this experience is primarily for their support use case. You can only find it on their support tab, but there are other opportunities as well to use conversational AI. Start thinking about the opportunity to do onboarding with this same bot, or even replicating this bot on your website, for example, for sales. And then the final one there is single channel. So this bot is primarily based on the mobile app, but start thinking about how you can start tapping into other channels where your users are finding the most convenient for their time to actually start interacting with your brand. So for example, you can start thinking about SMS, you can think about voice with Google Assistant and Amazon Alexa, and you can also start thinking about even a automated call center with something like Twilio Voice or Twilio Flex. Now, those options are available, and those options are really easy to do once you have an open platform that can actually expand outside the given scope of a purely web-based conversational experience. So there you have it. That's our takeaways from the comparison between Headspace and Calm. Again, I think, the Headspace team is doing a lot of great things with conversational bots, but there is a lot of opportunities to grow, and they're going to be limited by the current provider that they're using. If Calm wanted to not only compete but get ahead of them, I would say a product like Meya would not only sort of solve these problems that I mentioned here on the slide, but they would also be the opportunity to create these really rich contextual conversation experiences, unlike what has been seen in your industry to date.